So when I was born, I actually was born, called a crack baby because my mother was on drugs for a long time.
I felt like I was in the episode of The Wire. Like, where's dad in this process? He was out getting that bread back in the day, you know. And we all
started to just disappear. He got locked up. He didn't get out until I was probably in 4th grade.
This is where we're getting into some great influences.
Chris is a female. Obviously, my grandma's a female. They connected and they got together, so they was like the same sex, and they was proud. And she was like that father in the household that I didn't have. That's when I started to get a lot of anger. My sole purpose, I ain't care about nothing else. I want to be Mickey Mouse.
Watch how passionate you are talking about me right now.
My number 1, Da Vinci.
We're gonna talk about the fact that you smoke, marijuana, real green.
I'll wake up at 5 to smoke. I've done this. I threw it away before. Dug right in the trash can, got it back. It was me and Mike. We was in here getting detoxed.
That's so true. That is so true. No,
because it feeds in everything else. It feeds into what you now put into your body as far as your diet.
Tell us about Go Season.
Look like you got some fresh fits on now.
Yeah.
Now we getting into the gym fashion.
That's really what it is. That's what it is. Gym fashion. Because you're gonna fail regardless. It don't matter. That failure allowed me to learn from it. One regret I don't want to have, not giving it my all. Like, I never want to not give anything my all because people are watching me. I don't have no quotes. For real with you. The only thing I would just tell people for real is just keep going.
We here. Let's get it.
Let's do it.
Welcome. Yeah. Oh, it's gym therapy. Let's get it. Episode 3. Yeah. Episode 3, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Episode 3 of the Gym Therapy Podcast. I am Troy Lewis. Passport Fitness, Passport Troy is what they call me. I'm also joined here by the man, the myth, the legend, motivational Michael Miller.
Yeah,
yes,
we in
he's
the
here
building,
as
baby.
well. Let me get that clap.
Yeah, clap it up.
He alive.
That guy, he awake.
Feel great. What's your tag? Let me hear it, man, real quick.
I'm alive. I'm awake.
What?
And I feel great,
Yes,
baby.
sir.
Let's do it.
Let's get it.
Let's
Love
do
it, man. Love it. So, just to give people a background of what we're doing with the podcast, I want to make sure that we introduce everyone to people that are part of gym therapy, right? So we've already given you the background on how gym therapy came about, but we just want to introduce you to all the members so that you know what the background story is for each and every one of us. So the next young man we have here is another young man with a great story.
Great story.
Coming out of Baltimore City, product of the Baltimore City schools, a positive product of Baltimore City schools, who has, I feel, defined the odds of what usually comes out of Baltimore. Brothers, and he's a intellectual. You know, he's graduated from the University of Baltimore, working on his master's degree, finance guy, fashion guy. This kid got the jokes too. You got to watch yourself because he's like an archive of jokes that will hit you from all angles. You think he forgot about something? Nope, it's coming right up. But yeah, and we'll touch more into like everything he's doing as far as like with the fashion. He's rocking it here today. Go Season.
Go season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pump cover in full effect.
Yes,
got it on. If you don't know what a pump cover is, go look it up.
Go look it up.
Yeah, because you're probably not working out right.
Nah.
But yeah, without further ado, I want to introduce everyone to Mr. Jamal Hinton. Let's get it.
Yo.
Jamal.
What's up,
Molly Mall. Yes, sir.
In the building.
Molly Mall in the house.
Yes, sir.
Yes, man. Appreciate you being here. So, yeah, man, I always start off. Give us a little brief introduction of who Mr. Jamal Hinton is, man, for the people.
Word to my man Lamar, Jamal Hinton from Baltimore City.
The proper accent.
Hopefully you'll loosen up before too long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nah, we good. But nah, for real, I'm from Baltimore. I'm from over east, Kirk Avenue, born and raised. Like Troy said, product of Baltimore City School. Went to Coldstream Park Elementary, Middle School. Actually, my whole family went there. So my cousins, my aunts, some people taught there. Then I went to the Stadium School, which is like right up the street, like right there below City. And then I went to Friendship Academy for high school. And then University of Baltimore for college. So I've been right here in Baltimore my whole life. So that's a little bit. We gonna get into the thick of things for real, but that's something slight.
Friendship Academy is one of them new high schools, huh?
Yeah, it came. Let me see. I started high school in 2008, 2009. I think it was originated in D.C. and they brought it here as a charter school.
Charter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we was the first graduating class. So that was kind of cool for
That's
me
cool.
because like nobody else. We didn't have any like seniors or juniors. We were the first ones to do that. So we had to be like the role models to the people coming in. But that was special. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary this past weekend. So which
Congratulations.
is, dang, 10 years. Like,
Hey, it flies.
Yeah, it definitely
It
flies.
flies.
Yeah.
That's the thing about life, man. Live it up because this thing goes fast.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mike.
So, I mean, we want to jump right into it. I mean, I am really excited because your story, you know, like I said, you and Lamar was in the gym one day and you just really broke down your story. And I really was fascinated to hear the things that you've gone through and were able to overcome coming from Baltimore City. Like, honestly, I'm going to just be, what we say, keep it 100 with you. Like, It was like, I felt like I was in the episode of The Wire, like to hear your life and the things that you encountered going to school and in your household. So I would like to say, like, I would just like you to start like with how you grew up, like coming from, you know, dealing with drug abuse and in your household. I mean, you dealt with a lot of different things with your grandma. You know, I don't know how in depth you want to go with that, but just really give us that back. Like, I say, let's jump into it. Like, let's jump into it. I mean, growing up, mom dealing with certain issues as far as drug abuse, same, you and Lamar's story kind of coincide a lot. So just give us a little background on that.
Cool. So one thing I didn't tell y'all, so when I was born, I actually was born, they call it a crack baby because my mother was on drugs for a long time. And so I was born, had to go into an incubator because I really couldn't breathe well. I couldn't breathe without a machine. So I was there for a little bit. And the doctor said that I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to, you know, properly think, let alone comprehend, play sport, do anything. I was basically just going to be not a vegetable, but I wouldn't be able to do anything. So when I came home, my grandmother and Chris, who is her wife now, they were concerned that, you know, like, we don't know what's going on. And so as I started like to kind of grow up a little bit and they started to see signs that I'm like just regular, like, you know, I can do stuff, I can write, I can read, I can comprehend, I like art and things of that sort. They were like impressed, like, wow, like you really
Define the odds.
Yeah, you defined the odds. You low key are like a miracle baby for us because everything the doctor said that you weren't going to be or were going to be, you actually didn't do that. So that's like the beginning. I started out as that, which a lot of people really don't know.
Okay.
To be honest, same thing happened to my sister as well. God put this out there. Today is her 2-year anniversary. She passed 2 years on today, the 21st. Wow.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
So shout out to Diamond.
Condolences,
right,
man.
You know,
Absolutely.
right there with my mom, Cynthia. So
That's it.
same thing happened to her as well. So growing up on Kirk Avenue, shout out to Kirk, Zone 18, you already know. Got to give a shout out. Grew up on Kirk Avenue. Big household. It's like a lot of people in the house. So it was me, my grandmother, Chris, my mother, my Aunt Debbie, Takia, Uncle Booker.
That's your typical Baltimore.
Yeah, everybody
Two
was
at the head,
there.
two at the foot of the bed.
Right.
Let me see. And like just people coming in, like aunts and uncles coming in and out.
How many bedrooms in that?
We had the middle room. We had a bunk bed in the middle room, but that was kid room. The back room was for me and my mom's, and we only had like a bed in there. And then the front room was for my grandmother and Chris. And then the basement we turned into a bedroom.
Right.
But that was for Aunt Debbie, Uncle Booker.
Of course.
And then my little cousin Sakana was born, so she was down there as a newborn as well. So like we just just made it work.
That is something because that really is. I mean, a lot of our Baltimore upbringings, it has that. Some items in the basement. Your aunts, uncles lived in the basement. I mean, growing up in that environment, like, how did you know you were like?
I didn't know. I just thought the cool thing about it was that I was always surrounded by family, and so my grandmother always was big on family.
So
family,
you felt love.
Family. Yeah, and I never was alone, right? And I was a mama's boy, so I always wanted to be under my mother. So while she was there, it was like, yeah, my mom's, yeah, my mommy, whatever, don't care. I love Kid, but she was kind of mean. She was like the little mean cousin, but she always meant well. But she was a teenager too, so I was annoying, like, hey kid,
oh
hey
yeah,
kid.
you was
She's
getting
like,
on her nerves. Yeah,
but she in the middle room, so I'm always coming through doing this or doing that.
Right.
But just having everybody in the house always felt good. So I always had that camaraderie, had that love around me. So I never even knew what we was going through. I didn't know anything was wrong. I thought it was actually normal. Like, it's cool.
Gotcha.
So was this from birth, or did you move in with everyone at a certain age?
It was from birth.
From birth?
Yeah, it's from birth. So
was mom's around from birth? I know she had the drug issue she was dealing with. Was she around from birth or what?
Yeah, she was there until, let me see, probably was about 5 or 6, maybe a little bit younger. She got kicked out because of the abuse of the drugs. She started to steal, and so my grandma, which was a hard decision, was to kick her own daughter out, but it was like for the betterment of
and to kick her out into the streets too.
Yeah, so that's like really scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You like, that's your daughter. She's out here in like actually in the streets. My grandma, the only thing she said was every night you got to check in with me, like call me or something. And again, for me, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, yo, where's my mother? And so like, as I got older or growing up, I would cry every night because she would leave in the middle of the night, and I needed that that separation. When she left, I'm up all night. I'm crying.
Wow.
Like, where my mother at? Kid, like, be quiet, stop crying. I'm like, nah. Now I go into my grandma's room and just get in bed with them and just like sleep until like the next day. And again, I went to Coldstream, so I had to walk to school every day. So it was a neighborhood school, so everybody knew what was going on. So everybody knew.
So your mom is in the neighborhood. People know. I can't even imagine the jokes and the
all that
ridicule. Like, how did that affect you?
To be honest, at first, again, like, I didn't even know. I had no idea what was going on. Like, I just thought, like, I would see her around the neighborhood, and I'm like, oh, it's my mother. Like, I just go talk to her, like, And if I had like money in my pocket, because my grandma would give me like 25 cents, 50 cents, or whatever for like cookies at school. If she asked for it, I'd give it to her. Like, oh, it's my mother. Like, I give you that. Like, if you need it, whatever, it's cool. But when we get to school, again, everybody knows what's going on. I mean, the jokes is crazy. And like, I would cry because it really hurt. And I didn't know, like, everybody talking about your mother or your family dynamic or this and that. And again, we didn't have like no money. So like, I had 2 pairs of pants, and I had 2 pairs of, not 2 pairs of pants, 2 shirts and 2 pairs of pants, I'm sorry. And I had to like learn how to wash clothes because I had to interchange it every day to go to school. And this is the time when like style was changed. So people was wearing baggy clothes. My clothes was like fitted. It was like tight. So people making fun of that. Like, you got high waters on. Oh, your clothes tight. And then I'm like, I'm going through all that. And I enjoy
this ain't 2021 where we wearing stuff a little snug down.
I enjoy school. Like, I enjoy learning. And I love math. So like, I would raise my hand and do all these things in school, and in the city, they like making fun of you because you're smart. So I'm like, you getting teased for that, you getting teased how you look. I had long braids, they getting teased for, everything. And it's affecting me. Like, I didn't know it was affecting me, but it was affecting me. I would go home, I would start being insecure about certain things. Again, I was a crier, so I would cry all the time. Like, Say something about my mother, I'm gonna cry. You say something about my father, I'm gonna cry. Say something about me, I'm gonna cry. Like, it is what it is. You know, I was a crier. And then you get made fun of for crying.
Right,
so
right.
Like,
so you just got used to getting made.
Please.
And I mean, like, as a, you know, as an adult now, like, how do you think, because again, we don't know the effect that has on people. Like, how has that affected you growing up now and as an adult, like, dealing with all that ridicule early on? Do you feel it had mentally an effect on you?
Yeah. I think it really affected me later when I was in high school. Because I didn't know, like, as I got older, when I was an adult, I realized how it affected me in high school. In high school, into middle school and into high school, I started to get, like, popular. But I started to fall into these things of not really applying myself in school as much because that was cool. Like,
look down on.
It looked like, oh, yeah, like, I'm hanging out with all, like, the bad students or whatever. That's cool. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, I'm getting all the girls, and I like that, but I developed like this I guess persona, whatever. I used to call myself Magic Molly Mall, like play on like the DJ. I used to call myself that, but like I said, when I got older, I realized that was like a cover up. Cause I'm really like hiding who I actually am. I enjoy like video games, anime, drawing, doing all this other stuff, but I was like masking that. Like,
okay.
Nah, I'm just hard up. Yeah, I only, want to mess with girls and do this and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, like, I ain't really want to do all that. I just wanted to, like, play my game.
Right.
I just wanted to, like, do all this, like, nerd stuff.
Right.
But I knew I would still get picked on. I was over that. I was, like, at 7th grade, that's when I stopped getting picked on.
Right.
And I was like, this is not happening. I'm going to high school. I'm going to be cool and be popular. Like, everybody going to know me. So I just kind of, like, masked all that.
So just to kind of go back real quick. So when you would see your mom, what kind of conversations would you have with your mom seeing her out?
Nothing. I mean, it would just be, as a kid, it'd just be regular. Like, she'd be like, hey, Jay. And we'd just talk. Like, she'd say she missed me. Mm-hmm. She coming home. That's why I'm thinking she won't come home. She's not coming home.
Did you know everything that she was dealing with at the time? Like, could you grasp it at that age? Or were you just kind of, that's my mom, why is she not home?
Yeah, that's my mom's. Like, anything that anybody said, didn't believe it. Like, because that's my mother. Right. So whatever she say, whatever she do, I'm rocking with her. Anybody else, nah, y'all wrong. Like, even if I ain't see her, like, oh, I just saw your mother. No, you didn't, because I ain't see her. Mm-hmm. Right. So whatever she said, if I saw her, if she, again, like I said, if she asked for money, I got you. She asked for this, I got you. Or you need this, whatever she needed, I'm gonna give it to her. And even my grandma would be like, don't do that. I'm like, no, that's my mother. Right. Again, I didn't know anything. I'm just thinking like.
So when did you realize it? That was like, I guess some of the things that people were saying was actually true.
After my sister was born, I started to really realize a lot. Mm-hmm. I started to be curious about a lot of things. I started to see a lot of stuff too. I would say my sister probably was like 3 or 4, maybe a little bit younger. I saw her like doing things and like. Right. That let me know, like, oh, this is real. Started watching TV shows and really seeing. My grandmother would talk to me all the time, and I'm listening to what she's saying, but you don't really get it. You just, like, I think I told y'all, like, I would watch Holiday Heart. I'm like, I think this movie for real, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. But whole time, that's really my life. Get older, I'm like, oh, dang, I see my grandma's.
Go into that a little bit more, because you talk about that a lot. Like, what in that movie resembles your life? Like, what lesson did you get out of it? Like, what about that movie screams to you?
The entire movie. Like, even, like, my grandmother, I never met my grandfather. He passed away before I was born.
Okay.
Chris came into our lives when my mother and my aunt were children. Chris is a female. Obviously, my grandmother's a female. They connected and they got together. So it was same sex. And back in that time,
I was about to say, let's talk about when this was. We're talking
like 70s, 80s.
Right. It wasn't accepted, you know.
And they was proud. And I never knew, like, I just, again, like, it's grandma and that's Chris. That's what it is. Like, it's
and that's family. Another thing with Troy. Like, when did you realize, like, oh, my house is a little different?
Yeah, like different family. You know,
like later. That was later, like teenager.
So did you get ridiculed with that too? Like, did people say stuff or they didn't really know in detail? They probably back then you didn't put it out there like that.
Wasn't really
got it.
It wasn't really like a thing, honestly.
Yeah, I got you.
Were they public with it? They were.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if
they
it
was like
something
well known. Like they like you gonna know.
Yeah.
And
in those times though, that's
And, like Chris, I love Chris. Like as I got older, I really started to appreciate Chris more for everything she did for me because she was like that father in the household that I didn't have.
Nice.
She taught me a lot. She taught me everything, basically, like how to do this, how to cook, how to really clean, how to fold clothes, how to wash, like responsibility, how to cut the grass. Like she taught me all of that.
And what I always say is just like sometimes we get it twisted. Like it's about love, you know. And the great part is she loved you unconditionally and taught you things because she loved you. And sometimes I know we get it twisted on that. It's just like at the end of the day, this thing is about love.
Exactly.
You know, showing true love. Now I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Like of course, where's Dad in this process where we are? Like this 5-6-year-old Maul, like where's Dad in this process? I know you expressed to us like he was out getting that bread back in the day, you know, and we all got our cousins or fathers or, you know, that was getting that money,
got some
you know.
benefits from that.
Right, you know, we was getting it. So give us some background on your father. Like how did what happened? When did you realize? Because I know you got a lot of, you know, things you talked to us about. And when it comes to your dad, like give us some background on that.
So he was late 90s, early 2000s. He on the streets selling drugs, getting money. So, I mean, like I said, I'm benefiting from it. I looked up to him. His name was Dennis. People call me Lord Dennis. Funny, he lived across the alley from where I lived at.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, looking back, I was like, dog, you ain't really had no excuse. Honestly, like you just had to walk across the alley for real. But he was there. Early on, he was there. Him and my mother, like, were tight. They went to school together and everything. Okay. But early on, he was there. And we was doing everything. He took me to the circus. He took me to my first wrestling match. He had me laced out. Like he had money. So we used to go to Shoe City up on Greenmount all the time. I mean, so we're going there and he'll just buy me like 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, like all the clothes, just whatever. And I was loving it. He had a couple of homes and he worked out. Like he was like he always kept himself together. Like he always smelled good. He always was very organized. He was punctual. He had nice cars. Like it was like, this is somebody you want to be like, you know, minus like selling the drugs, obviously. But everything else.
I mean, we wanted to be them guys. Right.
Yeah,
like,
so
don't get it
like,
twisted.
Even with the drugs.
Absolutely.
Everything else is like, y'all want to be that. And I thought we was good, but he started to just disappear in typical fashion. Like, I'm going to come get you, and he never show up. You sitting at the porch like, all right, wait, he not here. I'm going to go to sleep. Nah, I ain't going to go to sleep. He going to come, Grandma. No, he ain't coming. No, he going to come. He got locked up. I was probably in maybe like kindergarten, first grade, if that, like very young. He didn't get out until I was probably in 4th grade. And I saw him. I was walking home from school. I saw him like at the top of the block. It's me and my best friend Darius. And I'm like looking. He had on all black. I remember this day like yesterday. He had on all black. It's like, yo. And Darius like, yo, that's your father. I mean, I ran. Bolted up, jumped, grabbed him. Was like, yo. Like, missed him, started crying. And he, like, looked exactly the same. Like, he got bigger. He was in jail, obviously. He was working out. I was so happy, right? I didn't think about any of the things in the past, like him not showing up or doing this or doing that. I was like, my father here. Started off good, but same thing happened. Started to like not answer calls or wouldn't show up.
Right.
So at this point, 4th grade, going into like 5th grade, I'm about to go to middle school soon. So now like I'm starting to understand things a little bit more. So now it's starting to be a little bit more like, nah, I ain't really rotting with dude. Not really rotting with him. I'm already dealing with everything, like with my mom's. Now I got to deal with this, dealing with stuff, at the crib. Like I'm dealing with a lot now. I'm about to go to middle school. I'm not trying. Nah. Now I don't like you because now you can't stand on your word. I don't respect you.
And you know what's going on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, he's done. He's done. And at that point, middle school me, that's when I started to get a lot of anger. That's when anger came. Yeah. So now I started to like resent him, resent my mother. Like, how could you do this? Right. You got me, you got Diamond. Like,
and you got a double whammy.
Like, come on, like, what are you doing? Like, you see me out here, you see Diamond, like, you got your children out here and you still doing this. My father, like, all I'm asking you to do is just show up for me. I don't want nothing. Like, I remember one time he had got me, something for Christmas. It was like some NASCAR toys. I'm like, dog, like, if I was a teenager, I'm not playing with that. Like, you don't know me. Like, you don't know me.
Wow.
Like, and that really, like, that right there really cut. I'm like, done with him. Wow. Done with him. My mother, the same thing. I was done with her because but I didn't realize like it was a disease. I didn't understand like, yo, right. Like stop. Like addiction, you got is real. Us. Right. You have us. Like, what are you doing? Not riding with you. So when I started to see her, now I was like, get out my face. Don't leave me alone.
So at this point, you putting up a wall. Mm-hmm. Did you go through the like getting in fights type thing? I know you talked to us about trying to get back and forth to school. See, that's y'all, ladies and gentlemen, y'all got to understand out here, it was a journey every day just to go to school, especially if it wasn't like up the street. You know what I mean? Like, I went to city, lived all the way in West Baltimore, so I had to catch like the 22 M1, 2 buses just to get there. Yeah. So give us, I know you had some, trying to get to school, some fights and things you was telling us about. You got angry, people really start saying different things at that time that, really cut. Mm-hmm. Give us some background on that time.
It's like in middle school, again, I'm at the stadium, so I could just walk to school. And again, it's still a neighborhood, in a way, it's still a neighborhood school.
Right.
People like live like in the Alameda, but for the most part, people live around that area.
Right.
In school, now, before your mother jokes made me cry, now you say to my mother, I'm gonna fight you. Yeah. Now it's
straight anger.
It's not
it's straight anger at this point.
There's no talking. You say your mother feet big, we fighting.
Right.
Whatever, we fighting. Even same thing with my father. So I got in a lot of fights towards the end of elementary school and middle school. I got suspended a lot. Okay. Like a lot. And they always would say they're going to your permanent record or whatever. I never saw my record, so I mean, it's probably still there.
It's on there, Jack.
I don't know.
But it's that cumulative show everything.
I started to get into a lot of fights around like in the neighborhood as well, because at that point in time too, you're older, and who my father he had a name. So people knew who I was because of him and associated that. So like, oh, that's Dennis' son or Big Lord time. Dennis. So now they're going to try me because of him.
So
now you got to defend yourself.
Right.
And it's like,
so your father was tough, then you got to be tough.
You got to do what you got to do. Right. So it is what it is. So the anger for that part helped, because it's like, I got to defend myself. So I'm just going to use this to help me fight. Yeah. And mind you, again, you walking to and from school. Like, you got crib probably like 5-10 minutes.
Right.
Get out of school 2:40, get home 2:50, 3 o'clock. You fighting. You ain't getting home till like 4. I had to get home. I had to call my grandma all the time at 4. Like, hey, grandma, I'm home. She'll come home. If I got in the fight, what happened? Tell her what happened. Like, she really can't do anything. Like, she's getting older at this point in time, and she's a woman. Like, she can't, like, I'm a boy. Like, it's hard to really raise a man or a boy or whatever the case may be as a woman. Even Chris, although, she was like the dominant, she's still a woman. So it's hard for her to raise me as a man.
Right.
So now at that point in time, I'm starting to be like, whatever, like, y'all can't really,
right.
I can't do nothing with me.
So getting to that point, I know if I'm right, this is where we're getting into some great influences that actually came into your life around that time. Mm-hmm. I know your Aunt Jackie is like a big deal to you.
Yeah.
And if you could just give us around what age did that start taking place, and what experiences and what did she bring to your life?
Funny. So shout out to my godfather, because he knew my mother before I was born. He knew my family because he lived near
everybody around in the back alley.
I'm gonna hit you with this. He lived near mile 9. If you know, you know. Okay. On the half marathon, he lived around. he lived around
mile there. Mile 9, Montebello, baby.
He lived around there, and so like he knew Chris, he knew my grandmother, he knew my mother. And so they was already tight. They was already cool.
Okay.
And so when I was born, it was like a no-brainer that he wanted to be involved in my life. So my grandmother, she was already with it. I started to go around there really, not really at birth, but when I was like 3.
Did they have children?
Nah, they ain't had no children. And so at 3, I started going over there on the weekends. It was always Monday through Friday at grandma's house, and then Saturday and Sunday over Mike and Jackie's house. They had the apartment. They bought a crib because I ain't want it, but they wanted a room for me in the backyard because like, they wanted to give me something. Wow. So I started to go over there on the weekends, and I was scared because it was different. I'm like, it's quiet, like.
You got your own
I got
room.
a room, like it's
right.
really like, I'm like, yo, what's the deal?
What is this?
What's going on? Like, you know, this, I don't know about all this, right? A backyard, like an actual backyard. The yard we had was like half cement and then like a grass patch, and then you in the alley, right? And then everybody else got dogs.
Right.
This is like an actual yard. You got a gate. You got a shed. I'm like, it's different out here.
Different.
Very different.
It's cool. Like I'm only here for 2 days. All right, that's whatever. So they started to really like feed into me, especially in middle school. That's when it really took place because now I'm starting to do things. So they put me in like Michael and both of them get credit. They put me in things like gymnastics. They just started putting me in stuff. Gymnastics. I went to summer camps like at ESF up Gilman, just like trying stuff. I got accepted into Bridges where I really learned how to swim at Gilman, but I really learned how to swim better at Bridges. I did golfing for a little bit, just soccer for a little bit, like whatever. Like just
and stop right, because I really want to get into this because me and Troy both have, young children, and that's one of the biggest things I see. There's such a big difference when you expose your children and put them in different activities. Like Tyler is doing gymnastics, Mikey
doing everything.
Yeah, she's doing everything. Taekwondo, Mikey does drums, Mackenzie does dance. So they're busy, they're in activities, and the difference it makes in a child to give them those experiences. Like if you think a lot of our young people, they sitting at home, they playing PlayStation, they playing video games, and we wonder why they're awkward and not able to, socialize and be in society is because they're just doing this all day. So that's their reality. But when our young people, they gotta make friends, they gotta know how to go out there and meet people, and they're learning skills that are helping them to be productive citizens. Yeah. So how did that help you, like, to navigate through these Baltimore streets,
I mean, you learn how to really communicate. You learn how to really, network, honestly. Because in school, like, one thing I loved about Stadium, it was different. It was technically it was a charter school. So we had this thing called mini courses, and we had this thing called project classes. What I appreciate the most about Michael and Jackie is that they never judge the things that I enjoy doing. I love art. I love to draw.
I wanted to get to
I
that.
could draw any and everything I wanted to, but I really love anime. And they was like, bet, cool. Do that, draw that. I got that from my big cousins who used to watch me. Or shout out to Aaron and Devin, because they was in the anime, so they low-key put me on. But I just stayed with it. And so at Stadium, on Wednesdays, every Wednesday you could choose your project class. I chose art every single year, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Mini course, art as well. I was just like, that's all I did. And I would go home, I'd be watching a movie or an anime movie, and I would just be drawing. That's always have my sketchbook on me. But Michael and Jackie just said, we gonna really invest in you. So they putting money out, like going to the Plaza Art Store, like buying the supplies for me. And art supplies is not cheap. Right. You go through it like that. Like I'll go through a sketch pad. I was doing it all day. Through a sketch pad in a day. I need another one.
What were you drawing? What was your
anime? But I would use like Copic markers, pastels. I would mix both. I would do pencils too, like just depending on the color pencils as well. Different experiments. I can't paint. I cannot paint. That's
so you were more sketching and
all that. But if you ask me to get a paintbrush, nope.
Right.
Or anything like crafts, no. Art, draw, we good. But anything else, that's a dub. But Stadium really like let me lock in on that. Michael and Jackie invested in that. I got started going to the Baltimore School for the Arts Tuesdays and Thursdays for the Twigs program. Started that in middle school. Then I started going Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday as I got to 7th, 8th grade. So like you said, I was just always busy and like doing something.
And how about traveling? Did you? I know you spoke.
My first time out of Baltimore I was 5. I went to Disney World.
Nice.
And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Funniest thing was it was a long line. My sole purpose, I didn't care about nothing else. I wanted to meet Mickey Mouse. I didn't care about, we could, whatever. Ride's cool, yeah. I want to meet Mickey Mouse. We stood in this line for like 4 hours to meet Mickey Mouse. And they stood in there, they could have like went to whatever. They stood there with me just for a picture. That was it, for a picture. And I was like, all right, we can go home. Like, we still had like 3 days left. Like, no, I'm good. But for me, I've never been nowhere.
And I think the great part about that is, the fact that you're a grown man, but you remember that.
Yeah.
And you have that memory. And y'all know me, I talk about moments. That was a moment for you.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
It was to be that young, and yet you still remember it to this day. And it meant that much that they were able to give you that experience. So now you have kids, you're going to want them to have those experiences and moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
We traveled so what we did was every other year we would do like a big trip. The in-between years is like amusement park, which again for me still was something like Busch Gardens or like Kings Dominion.
Nice.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But every other year was like a cruise. So I went to like my first cruise was middle school. I was, 6th grade, Jamaica. So I missed the first part of middle school because I went to Jamaica. And so I came back to school. I was like very tan. But that was cool.
I'm saying you going to Jamaica? How old were you?
Jamaica, man. We went to Carnival, cruise on Carnival. Shout out to Carnival. Carnival cool. They get a lot of, but Carnival cool. Carnival
chill.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a cruise. Coming from Baltimore, we didn't do cruises.
What, food free? Got
like I said, I didn't fly till I was 19. So trust me, that's a big deal.
We would always go to Florida. Cruise out of Florida was cheaper to do it that way. But it was like crazy experience. Like it was, we climbed Denver Falls. The food there was just like, I just ate everything. I was like, yo,
so how did you feel going back home?
Woo, it was different.
How did you feel going from, I'm in Jamaica, and then I got to go back to this house with 20 people in it.
Then you go back to the crib, and you're like, you hear sirens and this and that. Honestly, it was, you got used to it. For real. It was just like, again, when I first started going to my godparents' house on the weekends, it was a reality shock. I had to get used to that. I was used to being in the hood. Like I was used to being around it. That's where all my friends was at. And they lived over, I was from over east, but they live over west. I was like, I ain't gonna be over no west.
Right.
You're crazy. Like, I need to
another
go back.
world.
Yeah, like, I don't know nothing over here. I don't know what a Catonsville. I don't know a Ville. I don't know anything. All I know is Greenmount, Latrobe. Like, that's what I know. Right? I was comfortable with that. So, the big reality check was the room, right? I get back, take my grandma's crib, and it's like, dang, like, shit. I had carpet. This got like squeaky hardwood, the bed, like everything, like the cave, like I don't have certain things. Now I gotta find a way to, in a way, honestly, stay humble, because I could have really got big headed, like, yeah, whatever, like, nah. What you mean you can't get this for me, Grandma? Like, no, we need this because Michael and Jackie got this for me. It was never like that. Had to remain humble, but I also had to understand my surroundings too. Like when I'm back around here, I know I gotta be on my P's and Q's, because if I'm bringing stuff from over there here, people won't want to take that. Right. They don't want. Give me that. It's happened. No, it's definitely. Oh, I got. People took my iPods and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember you told us the story.
I was
you had to fight for your iPod.
Yeah,
get that up, man.
I'm walking from school, dude come through, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
let me get that shit.
Then it's like 3 hours. I said, well, know what time it is. Know what time it is, man. But
time to go.
You live and you learn, but it was a shock. No doubt about that. But the biggest shock was my friends. My best friend, close to this day. We don't even talk every day, but that's my best friend. His name is Darius. Him, like, I would always, like, talk about my godparents' crib and stuff like that. And I always would like bring him over there too. And he's like, yo, like, and it was just different for both of us because we were neighbors. Like we grew up together,
Nice.
like together, like
Y'all close to this day?
close to this day. Like
Great.
that's my guy right there. And he's been through a lot. Like he's been through a lot. So I would bring him just so he can see like, nah, like it's some other stuff out here.
Different
for real.
world.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
even like just the food, like sure, I'm disclaimer, I'm very healthy now, but back then like McDonald's was a banger. So it's like going over there, they would get me McDonald's, like we would go out to eat and so I'm like, yo, what is this?
Right.
Like at grandma's
It's
crib,
different.
at grandma's crib, you know, I got
You're not getting McDonald's.
Monday through Friday, I got,
Right.
you can't leave the table till you eat all your food.
Right.
You know, you
Yeah.
go heat it up. You know how to get it out the pan, heat it up. Grandma ain't cooking until Sunday. Cool. Here, like, you'll get Sunday dinner, like fried chicken and all this. I'm like, yo, like, this
Different.
is kind of crazy out here. Like,
Yeah.
yo, I gotta get used to this for real. It's all right. But it was humbling. It was a reality check, but it was also humbling. But I stayed level. Now, to be honest, though, still, like, in middle school, I still was getting bullied even from that. Like, oh, you too good, so you can go on cruises. And I'm like,
You can't win for losing.
Can't
I
win.
live in the
Like,
hood.
like,
Then I go over Aunt Jackie's, Uncle Mike's. Then you too good for
so you just going on cruises and doing this and doing that. So y'all just rich.
some more fights.
No, I live. I
live right- yeah,
I live right there. Like
Let me tell you what's really good.
Around the way.
Monday to Friday.
I live right away. Like,
Yeah, let's talk about Monday to Friday, Jack.
like, so I mean, it was what it was. High school is when it really like. That's when I really needed them. I left my grandma's house at 16. She didn't put me out, but she said, "You're going over there full time," because it's so easy for boys just to get caught,
That's right.
especially around like I mean,
And
I was
high school.
yeah.
I am thankful as a father to be in my children's lives now. My son is 16, Gary turns 17, my daughter turns 14, and I feel these are hands down the most important times for parents to be in their teenagers' lives because they're making a lot of decisions and not sure about a lot of things. And I feel like, I'm not saying you don't need them in elementary and middle, but you remember high school,
For sure.
you know?
For sure. And that's, my grandmother knew that. She was like, I was doing something.
So you went to live with Aunt Jackie and them
full time. So I'm there
Nice.
every day.
Okay.
But again, like my grandma, she knew that. She was like, I'm losing them. Because now I'm like catching the bus to and from school. I'm like skipping school, whatever. I'm messing with girls, bringing them over the crib. I'm doing like dumb stuff. I'm like going down, like just doing dumb stuff for real. And she knew that. She knew. And she small lady too. I'm starting to get bigger, taller. So I'm like, oh, go ahead, like taunting type of way.
Yeah.
Like the respect
Coming
was,
out your mouth wrong.
yeah, the respect was like, I'm like, you're not gonna do nothing, so go ahead, shorty, like
Right.
whatever. So
Was it on Jackie's idea to get you at, because you're at Friendship Academy, right? Was it her idea or your grandmother's?
that was her. She
And
was like,
why'd she choose Friendship?
so middle school again, like towards 7th, 8th grade, I was really struggling with a lot, like struggling with applying myself.
Right.
Like again, I knew I was smart. I knew like this is nothing. But I wanted to be cool so bad. My grades started to slip. I could have went to City because of the principal. He had a connection, so I could have went to City. I wanted to really go to Poly, but I didn't have the grades to get into Poly.
Right.
My zone school was late. Nobody was having that. Nah, you ain't gonna go to school before you go to late.
Right.
So Friendship was like a blessing that came. My grandma was like, I want you to go there as a charter school. It's gonna be good for you. And we went. And low key, like it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I made some really good connections there. I'm still in touch with like a lot of the teachers. Like they changed my life for real. Like I was able to learn about myself. Although I was going through stuff in high school, I still was able to learn about me in high school. I talk with my homies all the time. I was like, if I went to Poly or City or anything like that, the mindset that I had coming into a school like that, I'd have failed out. I'd have just been chasing girls. That's what that's.
And I mean, City, you around the corner from your house.
Yeah, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Like,
Probably
right.
not a good look.
No, not at all. No,
Probably
no,
not a good look.
not
And
at all.
especially at City, yeah.
Nah, no question.
balance.
So like everything happens for a reason, and so that was something that needed to happen.
Yeah.
And she, like Jackie, she really she was on me about that. So she got me right.
And one of the things I know we talk about is like, you know, Jay-Z talks about gotta learn to live with regret. I know one of the things you talk about is you were really good with the art. Like, and I know that's something you talked about. Like, how do you feel about the fact that you know, I guess we're trying to be like a tough guy, didn't want to admit that you loved art that much, and how do you feel that affected you?
A lot, to be honest, because looking at it now, like look at all the stuff that I love and still love to this day, like anime and art. Like now, it's the main thing. Like that's what everybody like talks about, like anime, art. You look at creatives, creative directors, all these different things in terms of art. Like, there's no question if I would have, let's say, continued to pursue art, I probably would have been in a space of making like different creative things with it. I was gonna go to the Baltimore School for those. Honestly, I got accepted, but I didn't want to go there because I was like, nah, this ain't really like, I ain't ready to be sitting in here. I think it's gonna be like High School Musical. They're gonna be running around singing and people gonna be drumming. I was like, I ain't really with all that. I ain't trying to do all that. They ain't got no sports team. They got nothing.
Right.
Like, that curriculum was like English, math, and then
Your
whatever
thing,
you did,
right.
which low key was like Stadium, because Stadium we had project class and mini course, so it was like a reflection of that. But again, I was like, I want to be popular, I want to be cool. I'm not ready. Wonderful building, but I'm not ready to sit here, come here, and people like, nah, that's a dub. Like, no. But in terms of like art, I've been able to do it in different ways now, like being creative.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. And then like people who I know, they do art in different ways as well. And it's just like for me to be able to be creative in that space and just get things out of my mind. So it's a different way, not me drawing like that, but just being like getting this stuff out of my mind now is like how I get that passion. It'll keep that passion.
And I know, man, I talk about this a lot, like getting back the older you get into the things you love to do. You know, I've picked guitar back up and taking guitar lessons, keyboard lessons, you know, wanting to sing and play, because that's still a love of mine. So I would say, because that's still something you love to do, it's never too late.
Yeah.
If nothing else, to have that, you know, self-love, you know, of making sure you taking care of yourself.
Right.
You know, to, you know, that self-help, just really doing things that make you happy.
Yeah.
That you
And
enjoy.
it's something that's going to continue to help you to grow as
Yeah.
well, because we can always learn from even the arts. We learn a lot from the arts. I mean, it's so
Exactly.
expressive,
It's
everything. So,
much.
yeah, it's like Mike talks about, like tapping into those skills. Never let it go. Never let it go.
And pick that back up, brother.
I think is being able to do that has helped me in terms of like how I learn as well. Like I learn differently. I look at things or problems in a different perspective, because I think that creative background from art has helped me be able to do that. So I'm looking at problems like, what if we think about it like this? Or when I'm like looking at different like apps or applications, like I just love innovation. So that helps me with that. Like, oh, this is cool. Like artificial intelligence, I think is cool. Like all those type of things, like how like Troy said, like art is even just like drawing. People think you just putting lines. Nah, like you gotta be steady. Like you can mess up one line and your whole picture is done. Okay. Right? You gotta understand like composition. You gotta understand shadow, how it plays, angles, and how that replicates into the picture.
Terminology.
I mean, it's like certain mediums and how they blend together. Like you got there's a lot that really goes into it.
Got it.
But you got to be analytical when you think about it too. Even dimensions of a paper, like or a canvas, like this is big or this is small, so I can't really draw this to that full capacity.
Right.
I need
Scale it down.
I need a different angle so I can get that. Or like when we had a trial for BSA, they just had a still life, so it would look like something like this, basically. And you just gotta draw it, whatever you want, however you want to do it. Just make sure and master at it. So if you do like color pencils, you better be good at using color pencils. If you want to use pastels, you better know how to shade and blend.
Right.
If you want to use like oil pastels, same thing, or granite, graphite, you better know like how to blend these things in.
I really want you to take a look at this podcast and watch how passionate you are talking about that right now. Because if you can see how excited you are right now, like,
I'm joint right there.
yeah. So it's like that's still there.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I'm saying we have to, because I always felt, you know, when I tell the people like, yo, I was supposed to be, you know, I thought I was gonna be the next Usher records, you know, record sales. You know, you couldn't have told me that I thought and knew that that's exactly what I was going to be.
Yeah, but Chris Brown came, you know.
You know, yeah, he took me out. He took me out. You know, but understanding that, you know, life does take, you know, we make different choices and go different routes. Even if that's what I could have done, our life takes different routes. So, you know, what I'm realizing is everything that I've done business-wise, it's to get back to be able to do what I love to do. And that's the music. So, I just say, like, I know you out here grinding, like, so, you know, you went to University of Baltimore, like, how did we get there? You know, I want to get into Go Season, how that came to be. So let's get to how did we get to, you know, college. I know you're a big financial guy. Like, talk about your you know, that transition coming from Aunt Jackie's house, moved in, we in college. Like, let's get to that.
But before we go there, I want to know, like, who are some artist influences of yours? 'Cause I know you're passionate about it. Who are some artists that have influenced you?
My number one, Da Vinci, because he's, I mean, I just, even the way he thought was just like crazy. Like, he looks at the entirety, if he's drawing something, he's looking at the entirety of the picture, always with the paint, always with the draw. If he's like drawing a person, he's studying anatomy to know how the bone moves to get the right structure when he draws, right? He created he's an engineer too. He created a lot of the first weapons for the Medicis. Like, he's like that. I was like, yo, he's tough. And then there's a show called Da Vinci Demons that came out in like 2013 that just made it just heightened it. Like, yo, I bought books. I was reading. I was like, yo, like he drew The Great Supper. That's him. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, Mona Lisa, but I mean, he's goated for me. He's GOAT. If I had to choose other artists, like Brian Donnelly, he's the creative cause. Like, if you see it's called Companion, but it's like has his hands over his eyes and it would have like the X's and stuff like that. McFly, he does a lot of 3D art. Just a lot of different, low-key Pharrell, he's not an artist like that, but he's an artist in terms of creativity.
Right.
Nigo, same thing. So, I mean, it's just like, it's more like about creatives as well. So those are like the people that I mean, shout out to Ye, but even, Takeshi Murakami is another one, but he did the cover for Graduation, which is one of his best bodies of work. But, you know, like, creatives are people that I look up to in that space, still to this day.
Yep.
Back to your question. So getting to college was not easy. Not even gonna lie to you. So coming out of high school, again, same thing. It was heightened in terms of how, like, my application on me applying myself, like how I needed to, was not there. Again, I was just so gung-ho on being popular, like being a guy. And I achieved that, but nothing came from it.
You think that came more because you got teased and bullied so much
I didn't want that no more.
Never was accepted.
I did not want that.
I'm going to be
that guy.
Yeah.
And that was, and it happened. And when it happened, I was like, yo, like, I loved it. I fed off of it, but I lacked in everything else. And that, I took a step back from everything, the art, me, like the anime, like all of that. I just took a step back. It's like, nah, I'm that guy. I'm Maul. Like, y'all know y'all know me. Wherever I go, I'm going to all the parties. You know, if it's a live party, I'm gonna be there. I'm not paying. I'm just gonna walk in with whoever I'm walking in with.
Right.
Like, that name.
And that became your thing.
That was my thing. That's
right.
That's what I was known for. Like, I'm going to all these events, these games, and people know who I am.
Right.
But my schooling just took a dip. Just took a dip because I didn't care about it. So when it came time for college, it's like, oh, like, nah. Then they changed the grade. It was like unweighted was up here at first, and they changed the weighted. I was like, oh, the weighted. Oh no, like, nah, I ain't going nowhere. I'm not going no school. So I ain't get accepted nowhere for real. That messed me up because I saw everybody getting into schools, like College Park, Bowie. I mean, all the homies. I'm like, dang, bro, like, this popularity don't mean nothing. Like, I ain't going nowhere. Like, I'm not going nowhere. Like, I'm still, you feel me? So Morgan had like I guess it's called like the bridge program or something like that. You go there for the summertime and then you can start. Didn't even do that. Because I was like, nah, I can't. Like, no, what? Like,
I got a couple friends that did that.
I didn't want people to associate that with my popularity. Like, oh, like, thought you was like all that and you can't even get into college. That was messing me up, right? So
still worrying about people.
Still worrying about people, right? I didn't start college until, what was that, fall? So 2013, like, what's that, spring semester? I went to HCC, Howard Community College. Went there for like a semester or two. Low-key, I dropped out. I was like, I ain't rocking with this. No. First of all, the commute, I was finding every little thing. Nah, I ain't rocking with it. One class, I went to the first class. I didn't show up until the last class to take the final. It's like, oh, it's nice for you. Nice
you enjoy yourself, Mr. Hinton.
Like,
Mr. Who? Who are you?
Nice you finally came back.
Right.
It's like, man, whatever, yo. Like, go ahead. Like, stop going. Then, like, the rest of that year, like 2013 or 2014, I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't even working. I was a bum, basically. I was just like, whatever. Like, just wasting my life.
Wow.
Because I'm like, whatever. Not even looking for jobs. I'm just home.
Right.
So then I don't even know what happened or like what kicked in, but I was like, yo, I gotta change something. I was hanging with like the wrong people for real. It was cool in high school, but in a way they was holding me back because they wasn't doing nothing either. Right. I was hanging with them every single day. Okay. Like just every day. We wasn't doing nothing but like getting high, hooping, and that's it. I wasn't doing nothing for real. I'm like, yo, nah, like I gotta like dip. And I had other friends, like my close friends who were away in school, coming back, and people who were like at Morgan. I'm like, yo, like, and I'm going to parties and stuff, and I still got a buzz like of me, like, yo, like, oh, Maul in here, like I still got that, but it's like, yo, like, people start asking you questions. What school you go to? I'm like, dang. I don't go nowhere.
HCC.
I mean, I'm in between schools right now.
You know, about to transfer. I mean,
you know.
Yeah, you start telling my plan like, yeah, I'm about to go here, but I'm gonna be there for a year. Then I'm gonna go here, and then I would always say that. So, like 2014, I started going to CCBC. I was good with that. They needed paperwork, legal guardianship papers. We couldn't really obtain that, so I actually got kicked out because they needed that for me to go to school.
Jeez.
So I'm like, dang, bro, like, all right, cool. So I tried again in the fall semester. Grandma finally got the paperwork. I presented it to him. Something else happened. We couldn't pay, so got kicked out again. So I went back in 2015, and I was good. Like, I was good. Bet. So 2015, that whole year, I went to school that whole year. Spring, summer, and fall, like, turned up. But that, I guess, insecurity, if you will, is like, yo, I don't want to be at a community college. I want to be at a university because everybody else is at a university. And like I said, I'm going places. People ask like, what school you go to? I'm like, yeah, I'm at CCBC, but I'm ready to transfer. That was my main thing. I'm ready to transfer. I know where I was going. I just knew I was going to transfer and go somewhere. I could have stayed at CCBC for another year and got my associates and then went to Morgan or wherever. I was in a rush. Like, nah, I want to go to a university. That's how I ended up at UB. So I ended up at UB in 2016, and I was like so happy, like, yo, I'm finally at a university, like university. I'm at a university. Right. It's funny because Jackie went there too. She went to the University of Baltimore for undergrad, and she went to Hopkins for masters.
Nice.
And so it is inexpensive. They don't really have room and board, so it was like, okay, cool, this is affordable. So I got to UB, and I was like, hit the ground running. I was like trying to be involved in everything. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, do that. Which I did. Started taking class and like, oh, this ain't really too bad. Like, started to really understand like school and like do what I normally was doing anyway. Like, I don't even know nobody here. I can really low-key, I can be me.
You can be you.
I can be myself.
No.
And that's
right.
That's what set it off. I'm like, yo, oh, this is different. I'm forget all that. I've like got off Instagram, like social media for a minute. I think maybe a year, because I wanted my name to die down on purpose, like forget about me. with the UB and just was like, yo, this cool. Like, they playing video games. I'm down there rocking with like the nerds, if you will. But I'm like, yo, y'all into the same type of stuff I'm into. People always trying,
and
like,
you could be authentic.
yeah, I'm like,
Your
yo, this
authentic
joint
self.
tough. Like, I'm rocking with y'all. Like, I'm playing the games with them, talking about different manga. Like, yo. And then it was just like, it was a whole different ball game for me after that. And
Nice.
I started to really enjoy college. And I can enjoy other things like homecomings from the homies. The only thing that did bother me a lot, though, was that in 2016 was when everybody was graduating and I wasn't. And I was like, dang, they go
So where are you at this
else.
point?
I was basically more or less, I graduated in 2019. So I was like a sophomore when I went to UB.
Okay.
So yeah, I graduated spring 2019. So I'm like, dang, bro, everybody. And in that point, people were graduating in 2016 and they getting that master's in 2018. I'm still not done with my undergraduate degree.
Right.
So I'm like, dang, bro, I'm behind. Like,
But you on your own path, and that's what it's all about. Like, we realize we're trying to fill in someone else's path and walk their shoes, and it's like, nah, you got a different goal in what you're trying to do. And so sometimes veering off and going to HCC and then CCBC and then getting to University of Baltimore, that was your path.
That's right.
yeah.
That's the way you were supposed to go.
And God allows, I'll say this, our decisions to work out for our good. So it had to be something that Maul needed to get from those experiences. Sure. Why did you have to take this road and go down this way and go this way? Because you needed to get something out of those times for yourself and your path, like Troy said, for your path, to get you to where you need to be. So, I mean, after that, like, you get into the working world, you graduate, like, how does it?
So at UB, though, talk about that a little bit more, I met, like, a lot of good people. Funny because the dude, Trevor and Derek, we went to middle school together, we went to Stadium.
Okay.
And I was talking to them before I was already at the school, but I was talking to them like, I know y'all familiar, so it's only right, because I don't know nobody else. Like, what's up? They introduced me, like, to people around, and I got involved with B-Mail. Lamar was in B-Mail as well. That's actually how me and Lamar met. And I met my mentor on campus, Sonny Solomon, too. And so I got involved with that, and that was, like, perfect for me, because now I'm around, like, other men.
Like-minded,
yeah. I'm like, yo, this is tough. Like,
and I mean, I guess that was helpful, being as though you didn't have the dad, the dad influence early.
Right.
So how did that, help you?
You just saw, like, I never really saw successful men, especially that stay. Yeah. Never really saw that. So I just got a chance to see that, like, I got a chance to see people that was like my age or even younger that not didn't care, but they was themselves. During high school, even out of high school, everybody low key was faking. This was a time I can see everybody like just being them. Like, oh, they really smart. Like, they really on it. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Themselves. I want to be around them. I don't want to be dumb.
So that's when you finally got out of the in crowd. Mm-hmm. It's okay to stand out. It's okay to be authentic and be yourself. Yeah.
And so I got involved. I was able to be on the SGA as well. The best thing, honestly, at UB that I did, I was low-key, I wasn't nervous about it. The only reason I was a little hesitant about it was studying abroad. And I've traveled out of the country before, but I was working at the same time. So I was like, yo, what do I do? Like, right. I don't know.
So this is like a real job? Like, were you out of school?
Nah, I mean, it was 2019. I was actually, so I had started an internship in 2018. I continued to work that internship until I graduated. So it was a full-time job.
Okay.
So I was nervous. I'm like, oh no, like, can I take off? My work gonna pile up. Mm-hmm. My coworker said, go. We got you.
Yeah.
Best decision I ever made in my life. We went to London. And it's so funny because everything wrong that could benefit you happened. Like, the flight was delayed, so we got all that money back. The rooms was messed up, so it was like cool. Right. But going to London, I mean, to this day, like, the best experience I ever had in my life. And I get that shout out to UB for that. I was like, how am I pay for it? Like, what I gotta do? We just applied, like, you got it. Did it. Went out there, loved it. And then in that same year, so 2019 was my graduation year, so I was finishing up my capstone class, which was a fun class. I was finishing up like a science class. I love science, so it was like cool. It was like dissecting stuff. Like, yo, this is like tough for real. Like, yeah, I like this class. And I graduated, and I went to London, all in the same year. So in spring 2019, I did all that, and I was like, yo, this tough.
Right.
It's tough. And then summertime, I went into I was an intern, but I became a full-time employee. I was working there. Just now I'm starting to figure like life out, like kind of seeing how things operate, really like kind of growing up, honestly, dealing with a lot of things that I was dealing with before, but understanding like, yo, this feel good. Like, not really, I graduated. Like I graduated, like, yeah, sure, everybody else graduated in 2016, but I did too. I graduated. I'm cool with that. I'm happy with that.
Absolutely.
You know, it just felt good, you know.